Most of these individuals at some point are going to come into the criminal justice system.
It's a trend that's rising across the country and right here in Southwest Florida. People suffering from mental illness have no place to turn besides somewhere they can't be turned away: jail. Jails and prisons have become our community's default mental health facilities, but it is coming with a cost. Four New Corners investigator Tara Molina shining a light on the crisis that's hurting our community in tonight's special report.
If you or someone you love were mentally ill, you'd probably go to a doctor, right? Well, a lot of Southwest Floridians don't have the option, and the result is they're getting mental health care in a place you'd never want to be. For some, it's the only place that can't turn them away.
There's no other place for these people.
For many, it's where they're diagnosed, prescribed the medication they need.
We have a certain place where you're evaluated. We have mental health staff here.
For nearly 700,000 people nationwide living with mental illness, this is a shelter of last resort.
They end up at the door of the one place they cannot say no, and that is the jail.
There are now more than 3 times more seriously mentally ill people in jails and prisons than in hospitals, all part of a national trend. Many mental hospitals have closed their doors over the years due to lack of funding and poor care. 60 years ago, there was 1 psychiatric bed for every 300 Americans. 10 years ago, there was 1 for every 3,000. More hospitals have closed since.
The decision was made to close down state hospitals. It really, shifted the population.
And it's happening right here in Lee County. Our local jails seeing more and more people with mental illness every year. Typically brought in on minor offenses like loitering, trespassing, or drunken disorderly.
We can't put up a no vacancy sign. We're getting people with depressive disorders, anxiety disorders, psychosis, schizophrenia. We just deal with it.
Just dealing with a sizable chunk of their population. Nearly 11% of inmates in Lee County's jails have a mental illness, roughly 200 people.
There could be 100 others, 200 others.
And the colonel tells me they handle it, but it's not easy.
We're meant to deal with, the criminal element and people that are serving their time in our facilities. When you have a mental illness on top of that, it takes it to a whole different level.
Do mentally ill people pose a burden to the Lee County Sheriff's Office?
It's a burden to LCSO, and it's a burden to the taxpayers of Lee County.
Our jails provide medical, dental, and mental health care for all inmates. They're evaluated as soon as they come in, and if they're diagnosed and prescribed medication by the medical staff, the jail pays for it.
The cost of treating the mentally ill is usually among the higher percentages of the overall medical cost associated with a jail.
The Lee County Sheriff's Office averages $9,500 a month for mental health medication alone.
You, me, the taxpayers of Lee County all pay for the meds.
And the extra attention these inmates require.
Basically, where an officer has to sit there one-on-one and watch a group of inmates and cannot leave that area without somebody else being in that general housing area.
It costs $85 a day to house an inmate in Lee County, but an inmate with special health needs costs 2 to 3 times as much, about $250 a day, and usually stays 2 to 3 times as long. And oftentimes, once they're out, they come back.
Once they're in the system, it seems to be a revolving door.
A revolving door that will only stop when the mentally ill get the long-term care they need, in a place that holds the key to healing, rather than a dead end. A number of experts I spoke with say a big part of the solution is prevention, treating people before they get so ill they end up in jail. But that takes money, and Florida ranks 48th in the nation when it comes to spending on mental health care. They also have a theory on why we've seen this trend get worse over the past 40 years or so. You can find out about that when you click on my story on fox4now.com. In the studio, Tara Molina, Fox 4, in your corner.